What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. In my last video, I molded this badass little sculpture from Sean Regalado. And in today's video, I'm going to be duplicating that mold. So if you'd like to see my process for duplicating this mold, please stay tuned. But please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and share it with all your friends. Enjoy the video.
It's time to open our mold and see how everything came out, see if it comes apart. So the first thing we're going to do is take some 99% alcohol, squirt that around the edge, let that soak into the hot glue. And while that's doing that, I'm going to start taking out my letters. If you wanted to, you could put another colored silicone. You could squeegee that down inside your lettering here. So now that we've let the alcohol soak in a little bit, we're going to start prying this apart. So now the moment of truth to see if our release worked. I hope it did. You can already see right here. Any of the excess that leaked down in the sides can get trimmed off. As I said before, we should be able to pull this out without damaging. I didn't put any release on the figure itself, except for what overspray got onto it. And you notice that the wax that I put on the new sculpture still stayed intact. So that's one thing that I really like about using wax, because it has a tendency to not get damaged. Okay, we're going to clean this mold up and be right back.
What I've done is I've secured the mold to my board. I drilled a few holes in the bottom of the board. I ran some screws up underneath to affix the mold to the table. I've gone ahead and cut my wall. And what I've done is I've given myself a space around the whole mold. Same thing in the middle. So the space here is the same as in the middle, should be. And now I'm going to start gluing my walls. So we are going to do that. Using our canned air to cool the glue down so I don't have to sit here and hold it. spots there. I just didn't want to bore everybody with the same thing that we did on the last mold. So I'm trying to speed it up a little bit. Because I think you get the idea. Okay, so I've glued my boards all the way around. Double check. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for any gaps in the glue. Make sure that there is no gaps. I'm using the material 1630. And let's see, I missed a spot. I missed this coming up right here. 1630 is a little heavy, so you want to make sure that you get it. See how loose that would have been? I would have had a leak. That would not have been good. All right. Pretty good. We don't want pretty good, we want great. What I've gone ahead and done off camera is I went ahead and reinforced around the mold. I've secured my mold inside. I've waxed the whole inside, hot glued everything around it. I've gone ahead and leveled the surface so that it should be as level as can be. And I've gone ahead and weighed out 3,400 grams of 1630. And I'm going to mix that off camera and we'll come back and pour. All right, so it's been about 6 hours. We're going to demold the arm for our badass little girl sculpture. So I just put some 99% alcohol and we'll let that soak in just a little bit. Try to loosen that up. Also, throw a little bit on top. Might as well just tear it apart. I'm not going to use it again, so. Now I'm going to go ahead and separate the mold. This will give you an idea. Sorry for the nasty fingers. Little to no cleanup. And I didn't put any pour spouts in this because I'm going to actually be duplicating this mold and I want it to be as clean as it was from the original. So then once the duplicates are made, any pour spouts will be able to be put in each mold as needed. Whereas if I would have put pour spouts in them now, then you're kind of stuck with those pour spouts. And this way we'll be duplicating this, and one pour spout might be great, one might not be. So this way you'll be able to pour up several different ones. There's our finished mold. I'm going to put just a little bit of material around the area, and then I'm going to go ahead and brush it and blow it. So with my brush, I'm going to make sure that I get it into every little nook and cranny, all around. This is the main important part of doing this. Brushing the material in first, blowing it. And if you don't have a compressor, I would suggest you get one. It's worth its weight in gold for this type of work. I'm not real worried about the outsides, but I'll go ahead and brush it anyway. I'm mostly concerned about getting into all of the nooks and crannies. You have to be very careful. I'm going to start blowing this here in just a second, and to not blow it up into your face. So you got to be very careful with that. I don't want any bubbles whatsoever in my mold. I want every inch of space to be bubble free. And you can see how the material is splashing out. You got to be very careful with that. If there's bubbles in this mold, then there's going to be bubbles in every single one of your pieces. So we don't want that. We want to make sure that everything is bubble free. I can't stress that enough. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and finish pouring the rest of the material. Hopefully I have enough. I'm going to pour like I do any other mold off the side. Let it fill in. But I am going to try to make sure that it looks like I'm going to need more. Unfortunately, let's get those feet. Stir up any of these. The material's starting to get warm, so I want to make sure that I get it in there quickly. I don't like to pour on top of another batch, but I'm going to have to do that with this, so. And then take our brush, kind of mix that up. A little bit more material in and around. Just make sure everything is covered. Get my torch. Try to torch some of these bubbles lightly. Don't want to burn anything. All right, we've gone ahead and poured our material. The total amount was 7,000 grams, and that's between this one and the arm. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some alcohol, douse our mold with alcohol, our support structure, let that start soaking in. Hopefully it doesn't jar the camera too much. Oh my God, this thing is heavy. Ooh. Should pop right off with all the release that I put on, I hope. I was going to do this off camera, but I figured that I should at least film some of it. And because I waxed the paper, the foam core, you can see how just, if I didn't wax this, it would have stuck nicely and I would have had to have sanded it off, but you can see how nice and easily it's coming off. One thing to be very careful of, and I just raked my hand across this right here, this is like a razor blade, so this needs to be taken down before you slice yourself with it. I've cut myself many times on this material. So be careful using it. Normally I don't try to hurry up and get it off so much, but I'm trying to make it so there's not so much video. So that took almost the whole gallon of material to do this mold. So we're going to go ahead and flip this over without it falling, just to be safe. Here's the back side where I put the screws in to hold the mold down. Just undo those. Nice. And the wax that I used is my Johnson's paste wax, which I absolutely love. Shoot some air. Hopefully I've got enough in my tank from last night. So again, if you don't have an air hose, air compressor, I suggest you get one, because to try to sit there and dig all this out, it's kind of a pain in the butt. Since I've already got a little opening there, I'm going to go ahead and try to shoot some alcohol in there. You can already see it's coming out, but you see how easy this is. So we'll try to gently peel this up. Since there's no more suction in there, the air doesn't do much good. So I try to peel it straight out. That's a beautiful thing right there so far. I don't know if you can
see that. We'll try to zoom in. Gives you an idea. Sorry about the movement of the camera. Go ahead and get the other side out. So just shoot some air down in there. And gently lift all around. So now I can basically, if everything is good on this mold, which so far it looks like it is, don't see any damage really. I'll go through and clean this up a little bit around the edges because that is sharp and I don't want. But what I've done on the mold is I've taken these corners off. And I do that because whenever you pour your silicone, it has a tendency to have like this little lip that comes up. So when you set your mold down on a flat surface, it will kind of flex in. So I take the corners off so that way when it sits flat, there is no movement. Same thing with this. This has that little cut that I made. So every one of those will come out with this automatically. And I tried to explain before too, I did not put a pour spout on this because if I put a pour spout right here and in the mold, then that's always right there. Well, we might find that in the pour spout might work better over here or over here. So this way, every time we pour one of these up, it's like an original. So it's flat. You can cut your sprue, or I can actually add something wherever I want it to be. And I think that that's a nice way to do it. You're not stuck with one specific way. So basically that's it for this mold. I'll get in here and all right, we're going to go ahead and demold the arm. And as before, everything should come off nicely due to the waxing of the molds. Again, be very careful with this edge on any mold that you're doing, because it is super sharp. So before I cut myself on the camera, try to be very careful not to damage anything. So far, so good. And now Sean will be able to duplicate this mold as many times as he wants to. All right, that's it for that mold. Looks like it might have been a success. We'll find out in the next video when I pour these up.